What you're doing now is listening to Real Talk with Herschel. We're here to help unite our community. We're here to uplift our community. We're here to reinvigorate our community. We're here to give our community its pride back and to keep it moving forward. Now, if that is not what you're here to do, if you think this is about hate, if you think this is about separatism, if you think this is about putting somebody over somebody, obviously you've got a problem with your ears. You probably need to change the channel, because that's not what we're here to do. We are of a certain community, and we are here to uplift that community first and foremost before we do anything outside. Because if we can't get what's due to us, we can't do anything for anybody else. Now, with that being said, Antoine, let's talk about some things that are going on outside our community, just a little bit, that are affecting us. Let's talk about these ICE raids.
Let's actually go backwards. One thing that we've done on the show, we've been noting for the past month or so that we've seen children in concentration camps, we've seen children starve, we've seen children die, and we've seen no political response that's actually commensurate with the horrors that we're seeing out of the government right now, and the horrors that are still being done and that are going to continue to be done now that the $2.5 billion worth of wall money has been approved of. But that we're not going to get into that right now. One thing I do want to note, though, is that people are stepping up. Slowly but surely, people are stepping up, and I want to highlight two cases. But both of them are relatively nonviolent, but I do want to highlight two cases. The first case is this: Never Again Action. Never Again Action is a collaboration of Jewish political activists or people who are aligned with them, who are going directly after ICE facilities. I've seen them in Oregon. I've seen them in Rhode Island. I've seen them in Washington, D.C. They've occupied the headquarters for Customs and Border Patrol. They have been forthright in trying to lock hands and ensure that in some cases vans can't go in and out. Yes. And they have been very forthright in trying to put a face and putting some organization behind the outrage that we are consistently seeing inside detention facilities. And we just want to note that people are dying inside these facilities. They're being held in torturous conditions. They're being held, and when they're not being fed in the facilities. We know when we saw a congressional delegation go to El Paso, I believe, we heard that women were being forced to drink from toilet water because they weren't being offered any real water themselves. So, this is what we've been dealing with, and we've been dealing with it in silence, more or less. Well, that is changing slowly but surely, and we know because we've been forthright in our criticism of the lack of effort, we have to be forthright in our praise for the effort that we're seeing now. And I wanted to make sure that I highlight them, but I also wanted to highlight a gentleman in Washington State, William Van Spronson, who unfortunately was murdered by the police in trying to actually blow up some of the ICE vans that they were using. Now, he made sure that he targeted the parking lot. There was nobody there, but he was shot anyway. And one thing I did want to do before we continue is I just wanted to read his words, because this happened on July the 13th, and you can look him up. His name is William Van Spronson. He actually released a short manifesto, and I just wanted to read a part of it. Just give me one moment.
Okay.
He says, and I quote, "There's wrong and there's right. It's time to take action against the forces of evil. Evil says one life is worth less than another. Evil says the flow of commerce is our purpose here. Evil says concentration camps for folks deemed lesser are necessary. The handmaid of evil says that concentration camps should be more humane. Beware the centrists. I have a father's broken heart. I have a broken down body, and I have unshakable abhorrence for injustice. This is what brings me here. This is my clear opportunity to make a difference, and I'd be an ingrate to be waiting for a more obvious invitation. I follow these three teachers: Don Pritz, my spiritual guide; John Brown, my moral guide; Emma Goldman, my political guide. I'm a head in the clouds dreamer. I believe in love and redemption. I believe we're going to win. I'm joyfully revolutionary." End quote. And I just wanted to use his words and just call him out, because he's been either ignored or demonized by the press. But what he's doing is what most of Americans should be doing. We should, if we're outraged at the fact that children are being deliberately killed, if we know that they're living in conditions where they're being neglected, if we know that people who are fundamentally innocent are being accosted by agents of the state, we have a moral obligation to do something more than either just disagree with it or to think that, oh, well, they broke the law, they deserved it. We have to have more moral clarity than that. And I just wanted to ensure that we foreground the people who are doing some of that work.
All right, and again, we got to realize we don't live in a vacuum, people.
Nope.
So what happens today is the dirty Mexicans. Tomorrow it's another dirty brown people.
Or it's both at once.
Or both at once, right?
That's right.
So again, we have to understand what we're looking at. Black and brown people, we have to realize that we're all in the same boat. Don't feed into the nonsense about people coming, taking your jobs, and all this other nonsense has been spouted from the very top. What we're looking at is a system that's trying to exterminate black and brown people.
That's right. And we also have to be clear that the closest election for us is a year away, and our understanding and our imagination for resistance, our understanding and imagination for challenging obviously the oppressive dynamic has to be centered on more than just election and voter registration. Both of these things are important. We need to make sure that we're all registered to vote. If we can, we need to make sure that we're all politically participating and that we can vote if we can. But we also need to have a vision for political action that doesn't look like that. And one vision of that we saw that in Nashville. We saw someone, we saw somebody who was subject to an ICE raid, and their neighbors actually just came out and they locked hands and locked arms and made it impossible for the ICE agents to actually accost them. Right. That is the kind of political action that we need, and we need to make sure that we're organized enough to make that happen. So, as we hear stuff in the news, I want people to know that despite the fact that our enemy is more powerful than us, that doesn't mean that you're powerless. It doesn't mean that you're impotent. It doesn't mean that you can do nothing. And I also want to remind any undocumented people listening that even though the ICE agents are armed and ready, they still have there's still laws that are on paper they're supposed to follow. They're still not allowed to search your vehicle without a judicial court order. They're still not allowed to go inside your house. If you see an ICE agent come by, do not open the door. You have no obligation to open the door. Right. And we have to realize that the stuff that we're seeing, it's not just somewhere over there. There's an ICE facility in Alabama, Herschel. It's in Mobile.
I'm not surprised.
No. I mean, this is stuff that's close to home. And what we're seeing with one thing that we have to be clear about is that what we're seeing with undocumented immigrants and stuff that's also being applied to citizens. It's also going to be applied to citizens. So if you think that that immigrants are breaking the law and that you have immunity, you're not really looking at how your government works and how your government wants to work. Your government has a goal. When we say white nationalism, that's not just a slur that we're throwing out there. It's a vision for how they want society to be structured. They want society to be structured where either black and brown people are in subservient positions or they're eradicated. Exactly. And the term that we use for stuff like this is ethnic cleansing. We call it ethnic cleansing. And what ICE exists to do is it exists to ethnically cleanse brown and black subjects from American soil to make sure that only white people have citizens, have rights, and have recognition. But again, I just want to make sure that we know that we understand that resistance does not have to wait to 2020. That can start now. They can start by applying pressure now. They can start by meeting with your neighborhoods and making sure that you're watching each other, making sure that you're watching to see what cars come by, whether agents of the state are coming by, and making sure that you have a plan in place for yourself and for your people that doesn't necessarily just involve just hoping for the best and hoping for the best to happen spontaneously. Everything bad that can happen will always be better handled if we're organized before it does happen.
Yeah, and you said something, Antoine, that's very important. We're talking about this because it's in the media.
Right.
Black people are still getting shot in the streets.
That's right. We're still getting incarcerated.
We're still getting kidnapped. We're still being abused. Our women are still being abused and maligned. So don't fall asleep and don't just be so detached or even so single-minded that you don't see what's going on in your own community.
Right.
We have to be able to again align with other communities that are just like us, other segments, just like us.
Exactly, and we promote solidarity because we understand interconnectedness. We understand that what happens to one will happen to us. We understand what happens to us will happen to them. We understand that when we're in a white supremacist state, which we are in, the tactics that they use against one are tactics that they'll apply not just domestically but also globally.
Yeah, Yeah. So.
You know, they didn't learn, like, you know, I've said this before, but they didn't learn Abu Ghraib in Iraq. You know, that
No,
was
they learned it
yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They learned it from American prisons right here. These are practices, these are structures that we've adopted, and these are structures that, you know, that a white supremacist state has used to make ethnic population control coherent for them. And we have to be very clear about what that's what that is right now. And again, right now, we're, you know, even though it's as bad as it is, we're still in the beginning stages of that. One of the things that's happened this week, and you know, I forgot to mention in the notes, Herschel, but one of the things that happened this week is that we're going to start, the Department of Justice is going to start executing federal penalties. Yeah. They're going to start applying the death penalty to people who are under federal under federal watch. Yeah, under federal watch. Now, again, this is not something that's, you know, disconnected from ICE raids. It's not something that's disconnected from anything else that's going on. Right now, we have an administration that has taken upon itself to kill people and to, you know,
torture people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
torture people.
That's right.
Yep.
Illegally detained and tortured and kidnapped and separate families.
And, you know, just so you know, we're not partisan. All these people could have, you know, their sentences could have been commuted or pardoned by Obama.
As well.
He knew up until January 20th, when Trump got inaugurated, that that Trump was going to have the reins of power, and that he could have done exactly that. He knew who his supporters were, and he decided to neglect them and to leave them there. And now they're subject to execution in a country where we don't really have any good methods for executing people right now. Right now, lethal injection, it is a horrible process. We don't know. It's the first off, it's applied by medical professionals. And we also don't know how long it'll take to work. It could take 40 minutes. It could take 2 hours.
And that's why a lot of states have put a moratorium on it.
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a Scandinavian country that had the chemical that we use for this lethal injections, and they started withholding. Yeah, they started withholding it. So, you know, they're not only doing something that the federal government has no right whatsoever to do, they're also doing it with experimental drugs where they don't know how they work, being administered by non-medical professionals. This is all, you know, this is all collaborating. We are developing the taste to torture and to effectively eliminate whole populations right now.
First of all, you said we. Second of all, you said are getting a taste for it. What you talking about? This is Antoine. They're just perfect. They ain't getting a taste. They're perfecting it. They're expanding the scope. They were getting a taste of it when they brought us here. They were getting a taste for it then. They've changed their techniques. They call it different things. They're shooting us down in the streets. They're not hanging us from trees, but they're still lynching us.
That's right.
They use